In terms of adapter enhancements, our team made enhancements to a handful of adapters, particularly around Jira. We now added an option to check for issue type conversion. In Jira, we kind of have the unfortunate circumstance where if you change an item type from story to bug to epic to any custom type that you have, it doesn't change the Jira ID. Jira keeps that ID the same, meaning that it could still be linked to an item of a different type in another system. This option now adds an additional API call to the Jira item before making the update to verify that the issue type has not changed. By default, we have not activated this because we know some customers are performance sensitive, where they don't want to be making an additional API call to their Jira environment. But in other customer environments, they see these kind of issue type changes very frequently. And when combined with issue links, this could run into a case where they were getting a loop of updates between multiple items across multiple automations. It was kind of an ugly scenario. And that is why we delivered this actually in the 3.9.1 patch. But it is a simple configuration option. It adds an additional API call for each object update and is a safety to ensure that the item has not changed in Jira when an update is coming in. Additionally, we added support for the team field in Jira Cloud. Jira Cloud's team field had special handling where previously we were unable to fetch the values for that field. And the reason for that is team in the Atlassian environment is above just the Jira level. It's connected to the organization ID with Atlassian, not to an individual Jira instance. And so it requires the organization ID in the API call to fetch those values. So now we have the ability to add that organization ID as an advanced property to a Jira Cloud connection. And then we are able to fetch those team values from a cloud instance. Atlassian gives some information for how to get the organization ID. Basically, you log in with your Jira admin, and you can take the organization ID from the URL. So that is that enhancement. We also made a spike to determine if team managed projects could be supported in multi-project automations, and concluded that they cannot. The challenge here is that in a team managed project in Jira Cloud, the entities in different projects can have different IDs, so we don't have a way to sort out entity types from each other in a smooth and consistent way. So this continues to be something that is not supported for customers using team managed projects. Additionally, with team managed projects, usually there is not the organizational oversight that would allow you to put multiple teams into a single automation. On the Rally adapter side, we made an update to the automatic user mapping to support additional attributes. These changes are a little bit limited and represent a change in behavior to the automatic user mapping. So now for supported adapters, we've updated the allowed field values that could be used for lookup by the target application API. So on each side, you pick the attribute that ConnectALL should use when trying to look up a user in that automation. So currently, this is only supported for Rally and Jira. On the Rally side, we support lookup against most user fields, including custom fields, while the Jira API in this case supports lookup only by username, display name, and email, and so has that limited set. The use case here with a couple of customers is that they were using a Rally custom field for user ID, that they were taking basically the Jira username and populating those user IDs into Rally so that they could do a lookup against the Rally users to match the Jira username. So this enhancement allows us to do that mapping in that way. Additionally, we updated the API call to Rally for fetching updates. This removes a limitation that we ran into with some of our larger scale customers where above around 250 projects, the query length exceeded the allowed character limit by the Rally API. And so we switched the endpoint that we're using to fetch updates, now going to Rally's batch update. Removes this limitation. In theory, there is not an upper limit to how many projects we are allowed to fetch now. However, if you have a one-way automation and are using a read-only Rally API key, Rally doesn't support you using the batch endpoint. So that limit remains with read-only keys. ConnectALL automatically detects whether the API call is read-only or is a general access Rally API key, and then uses the correct, the batch endpoint, as long as it's supported by the API key.